These are these are sort of what I call loose ends. Um, One of the reasons I love Asha Diane is because she covers a vast amount of material. But there were a couple things that I watched recently that is, how would I put this? Experience is what we experience in energy or communication. And so she made a very important comment that goes all the way back to when I was a little boy. And it was just like, bang. That means that she knows what I knew before she was born. Okay? Now, she said it later. I experienced it as a small boy in the 1950s. And she made a comment about something. I'm just going, I'm listening to myself talk to myself when I'm a little kid, right? Stuff that I was experiencing in the privacy of my own thoughts and feelings, okay? Because when I was able to translate the codes, which is in the mirror, what the newspaper was telling me that I'm on a spiritual battlefield, and spirit is an energy, so you realize you're in an energy war, which is a war between consciousness. Couple that directly to corporate consciousness, why it's defined as a fiction, and why they compete. Because the experience that I had when I was a little boy had to do with, I'm not supposed to experience this. Remember how many times I've said that? I'm not supposed to experience anything less than eternal love no matter where I go. So I knew that in my heart, with my heart shield up, right, that I knew that was my protection. So when you have a heart shield, that's a planetary shield, which is a galactic shield, which is a universal shield, because you know by virtue of experiencing it through my own heart and my soul that I got a connection to the primal sound field because I'm experiencing what love is. So I had certain words that I used when I was a child to maintain what I know that I am, because she covers identities. And I covered a number of videos, energy identities, which is a core vibration of your soul, which is a connection that you have, right, with the universe. Or creation itself, what I call creation itself, right? The source from which it all began is what I always refer to it. The source from which it all began out of what love is. So I'm experiencing what love is as a little kid. When I'm experiencing something that isn't, and I know that what it feels like because I'm experiencing eternal unconditional love through my heart, translated to what I would share with others when I'm a little kid growing up, telling other girls I will love you forever and always. And then they don't understand, well, will you say the same thing? Do you experience feeling the same way towards other girls? And I would say, yeah. They don't know how to translate that. Okay? Because what is the next word that triggers? Competition. Competing in relationships. Tie that directly into the comment I made about being androgynous, which is being in perfect balance between the poles. As a polarity integrator. So as a child, I couldn't believe. I figured I'm living in an illusion. It's not real. Why is it not real? Because I'm experiencing what love is. I'm experiencing eternity through my own heart and soul, but I'm experiencing something here that isn't. So I can't make any sense of that. What happened to my home? Wait a second. No, I'm always at home. I haven't left. I'm still experiencing the still point, the single point from which it all began. Now we're into the healing part of this. Now the reason that I make the connection to Asha Diane when she made a comment, okay, two actually, in a video that she did that was put on by a channel called, what is it, Light, not Circle of Light, I forget, but it's called Crystal Star Awakening. The first one and the second one, she goes into depth about the information about how we arrived at where we're at now. But she made some very specific references to the reason I'm doing this, when she talked about up above and other places, how control group, you have a control group that we're going to, it's sort of like when I'm a kid, I can't understand. There has to be a rational reason, okay, why I'm experiencing something that's less than eternity. Okay? So filter that through the lens of what a corporation is. They compete against each other, right? She made some very direct references that when you're experiencing a fall in consciousness and you realize your consciousness is not supposed to fall because I'm not supposed to experience anything less than eternal creation mechanics wherever I go. So there has to be some logical reason to explain why I'm experiencing something that isn't what that is. Because what it means is that I used the word when I was in my childhood, this is impossible. This can't happen anywhere. And that's why you call it an illusion. So there has to be some reason that you're experiencing a unit of consciousness, which is a unit of energy, that is not experiencing eternity anymore when you realize that I'm experiencing eternity. Eternity can't experience anything less than eternity. If you're eternity. Right? Because as a child, I'm going, love doesn't work backwards in time. Love is eternal love. Because I'm experiencing eternal love. Wait a second. Which one am I? Because I'm also experiencing something that is something that I am, because I'm experiencing it in the mirror. And that's what causes confusion. Which one am I? Knowing one from the other. Yeah, but this means that eternity is now experiencing something that it isn't. Because you can't experience eternity, which is eternal unconditional love, and then experience something that is less than what that is. Otherwise, you're not experiencing eternity. See where the confusion comes in? So how did this happen? She explained that in that video. Okay? So if you wanted to find out, all you'd have to do is jump in here. Because I had to figure that out. When you go all the way back to the beginning. Right? Of seeded races. So a fall of consciousness is directly tied to what? Well, the simplest way that I think of it this way is sometimes I use Disneyland or words like a fun zone. Go have fun. In other words, God created a matrix, right, in which it was created out of what love is. It goes on forever. And you all have free will. Have fun. Have fun. Remember, I said before, go, go, go. We're not holding energy captive. You're free to go. You're going to experience what love is. You're free to go. And you have free will. Now that you're experiencing what love is, you have your free will. How did a unit of consciousness lose its connection? The primal sound field of sound and light. How did it lose its connection? Now it's not experiencing what love is. Choices. The choices that we make and the use of our energy that causes us to experience a loss in us. Now we're back to what I do to you, I do to me. And what it means to experience being in balance. So another way that she also happened to mention in, I believe it was the Crystal Awakening video number 2. I don't remember how many minutes in it was. It doesn't really matter because I'm simply using it as a reference, but it's important when she talked about lines of communication. Sometimes I've mentioned it in videos that I've done about breaking into your radio set, which is your shield, okay? Or if you will, it's like getting transmissions, code transmissions, in which you become aware of something, and then knowing the difference between what you are and what you're not, okay? And that would be defined or translated as if I'm one with all creation. And so I sort of translated and communicated sort of differently, and when I mentioned I'm a cosmic level receiver. Which means, do you not think that eternity would not like to be able to have an open cosmic level receiver a radio set to be able to experience everything else that is happening within the all creation, which means, hey, does God got a direct line of communication to everything else that's happening in the universe, so that I can, everything that I am, that is everything else that is able to communicate back to what I am, in which it all began. That means that God's got a direct line of communication to everything. You see how that works? Which means I'm not experiencing any resistance to experience everything that's happening simultaneously. See? Which means I'm not running any resistance or restrictions. I don't want to experience what they're experiencing in another matrix, because they might communicate to me and I wouldn't know the difference between what it is and what I am that isn't what that is. So I run an open receiver, right? And what does that mean? You're fearless. So when you're fearless as a little kid, what I realize is you're filtering content, incoming transmission, communications. So what is going to be the filter? Balance. Because it means you know how to tune your radio body. It means you know how to tune a star. It means you're self-tuning. You can automatically self-tune yourself. So this is where we got back to some of the first videos I ever put up. There's only one metric. That's it. That's what love is. That's what the law is. It's the law of balance. It's the law of spheres. It's the law of least effort. To experience what love is, it's on fire. Do what? Accelerate the distribution, equal distribution, which is equal unto all that we're giving love to. That's as simple as it gets. So when I'm experiencing that as a little kid, right, it makes it easy, right? What do you want to go experience? I want to experience all of it. All of what we're giving love to. Plug into this little kid. Right? And so so I have an open line of communication with everybody in the entire cosmos, if you want to, right? Which means I'm not going to cut you off. You want to communicate with me? Communicate with me. Translate. That means being able to translate the language. Right? So it's like I've always said, how do you know you're not getting a redirect or a communication you become aware of? And then it's just like the different places that I go, right? Redirects, you know what redirects are. Your consciousness been redirect when you make a decision to do something. How do I know that that decision to do that was mine, or was a communication I got from somebody else? It was a thought form algorithm because of the technology that I had to do to make that happen. Doesn't matter. Which means I'm in everything. Remember I mentioned that? It doesn't matter. Because wherever I am what love is. That means I'm bringing in healing energy wherever I am. Bringing in balanced energy wherever I am. So it doesn't matter, does it? I know. So there are certain cues. I do get certain communications and cues because I communicate it openly and simply say, because I actually communicate with Mama. Okay? I communicate with her every day. If she wants me in a certain place, I'll know it. I know those transmissions. I gotta stop there, otherwise I'll just start bawling because of that. When you're doing polarity integration work, it means that you care about everything. It doesn't matter what it is. We're talking at the atomic level and at the smallest level in which something is consciousness that is experiencing something else that isn't what love is. That's a hypersensitive drive, a hypersensitive motor, right? Because it means I'm experiencing something that isn't experiencing what I am, which what love is goes on forever loving them. That's how sensitive my antenna is. That's why it's easy for me to cry. So now you know what I was experiencing when I was a kid. It's like being the Lone Ranger. when you're in a fallen system. Even though I know that I'm connected, right? Of why I'm here. Why we're all here. Right? And that is a measurement that I knew as a kid, that as you go forward, because you're experiencing what others are experiencing, how much love do you have in your heart? Now, for me, it's an easy read because it's the amount of resistance on a motherboard versus their capacity to experience more voltage, more light, burn through their circuits and get rid, or if you will, heal all of my asthma. And so for me, it's not just bipeds, but that's everything. Everything down to the smallest unit of consciousness that's experiencing what love is. So that would be all your birds, all your grass, all your trees, the atmospheres, everything that is in a holographic APIN system. Or if you will, every antenna that can pick a signal up. Signets, signals intelligence. Yeah, hey, I'm intelligent. I just got a signal. What did it say? It said, let's go swimming. Have fun. Enjoy the day. We love you all. Dance for freedom. Being a free spirit.